Daily Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, INEC declares Amadou Umaru Fintiri as governor-elect of Adamawa State. Gombe APC expels Njamagoje over alleged anti-party activities. 8 kidnapped Kaduna female students escape from terrorists' den. And on the international scene, clashes continue despite ceasefire agreed by the Sudanese army and rapid support forces. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Darshan Husseina Usman. And we begin with politics, where Governor Amadou Fintiri of the People's Democratic Party has been re-elected as governor of Adamawa State. The governor beat his closest rival, Aishatou Dahiru Binani of All Progressives Congress, and other contestants after a supplementary election conducted on 15th April 2023. Silas Lawang has the report.
The Independent National Electoral Commission had declared the 18th March governorship election in the state inconclusive, as the margin of lead between the two top candidates was less than the number of council votes. Announcing the result of the election in Yola on Tuesday, the returning officer, Professor Mohammed Mele, said Governor Fintiri polled 430,821 votes to defeat Senator Binani, who scored 396,788 votes. With the official announcement of the result, Governor Fintiri has been declared governor-elect, with Professor Khalif Tafoua Farauta as his deputy governor-elect.
That Umaru Ahmadu Fintiri of PDP, having satisfied the requirement of the law, is hereby declared the winner and
The governor-elect Amadou Fintiri, in his acceptance speech, thanked the people of the state for reaffirming their support for him through the ballot and promised to deliver on all of his promises to them. He further appreciated the Electoral Commission and other stakeholders for standing on the side of justice.
Today, we are at the point where history is made. It is made because of you. It is made because you affirm your willingness to support the good works that have started in Adamawa State. It is made because we have reached a consensus that Adamawa State must work. It is made because we are completely happy that we desire a better state that is lifting we believe that when each of us will pursue our own individual dreams, we are Adamawa family. And out of this family, each of us is at liberty to aspire to any height without any human hindrance.
Adamawa State has a total number of 2,196,566 registered voters, but only 876,387 voters were accredited for the election. Silas Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
The INEC on Tuesday resolved to write the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, to probe and prosecute its resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa State, Hudu Yunusa Ari. The electoral umpire reached the decision when its national commissioners met at the commission's national headquarters in Abuja on Tuesday over Adamawa supplementary governorship election. The decision of the electoral body is coming barely 24 hours after it directed Ari to stay away from all activities of the electoral umpire and the election in the state. The INEC rec had on Sunday stirred controversy when, at about 9 a.m., he announced Aisha Binani Dahiru of the APC as winner of Saturday's supplementary election over the incumbent governor, Amadou Fintiri of the People's Democratic Party. In the same vein, Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court in Abuja has temporarily declined to hear an application by Senator Aisha Binani Dahiru seeking an order of court restraining the Independent National Electoral Commission from invalidating her declaration as winner of the governorship election in Adamawa State. Binani had on Monday approached the court for leave to file an application for judicial review of the administrative decision of the INEC made on April 16th in respect of her declaration as winner of the governorship elections of Adamawa State held on March 18 and the supplementary elections of April 15. The application for leave to bring the application for judicial review was contained in an ex parte application filed on April 17, 2023. However, when the matter was called, Justice Ekwo told the counsel for Binani, Muhammad Sharif, to first address the court on issues of jurisdiction. According to the court, Binani is to file her address on whether the court has jurisdiction to hear the application within 3 days. Binani, alongside her party, the APC, are in the application seeking for an order of prohibition and certiorari preventing the electoral umpire and its agents from taking any further steps towards the declaration of the winner of the elections pending the determination of her application for judicial review. Still in Adamawa politics, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, on Tuesday ordered the Commissioner of Police on election duty in the state, Mohammed Barde, to withdraw with immediate effect. The police chief also ordered that the Commissioner of Police in charge of Gombe State, Etim Ekwa, to proceed to the state for election security in the yet to be concluded supplementary governorship poll. Olumuyiwa Adejobi, spokesman of the force, who announced the development at force headquarters in Abuja during a press briefing, said the IGP is committed to a free and fair process. Adejobi, a chief superintendent of police, also said that the top cop is yet to receive any letter from INEC seeking the probe and prosecution of its embattled resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa, Hudu Yunusa Ari. The political intrigues that surrounded the Adamawa State governorship election rerun is still generating reactions from stakeholders in Nigeria's polity. Political pundits are undecided on the legal implication of the declaration of APC candidate Aisha Binani by the now suspended INEC resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa State before conclusion of collation. Others are, however, more concerned about the players behind the scene and the unfortunate victims of the power play. Trustee Shafiu Suleiman reports.
In a dramatic and commando style, the Adamawa State Resident Electoral Commissioner Hudu Ari, flanked by some heads of security agencies, appears before journalists and party agents to announce the APC governorship candidate Aisha Binani as winner of the rerun poll in the absence of the returning officer for the election. This action of the audacious INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner, which comes in the middle of collation of the results, is, according to INEC, a usurpation of the role of the state returning officer, and thus is null and void and of no effect.
He had no right whatsoever to go and make a declaration and also make a return.
This action by Madam Hudu amounts to a civilian coup, with the intention to take control and install an illegal government in Adamawa State, contrary to the provision of Section 1, Subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic as amended.
At every single juncture on Sunday, some of these groups are compromised. Whether it was the commissioner, like you pointed out, who was sitting with the REC when the announcement was made, whether it was even the National Television Authority (NTA) that broadcast, the purported acceptance speech, even though a formal, announcement had not been formally clarified by INEC.
Though the suspended Adamawa State Resident Electoral Commissioner may not have acted alone, the consequences of his action was brought to bear on one of the 3 INEC National Commissioners drafted to the state to monitor the exercise. Professor Abdullahi Zuru, a renowned scholar, was brutalized by suspected political thugs in what appears a case of mistaken identity.
Very unfortunate outcome, and it just really shows how invested, but then how whipped up many sentiments have been around this election period. Many other CSOs have been calling for a review of the way that politicians have conducted themselves during this election period.
While the search to uncover the perpetrators and sponsors of the unwarranted assaults on the university dawn goes on, many are also demanding justice for the innocent INEC National Commissioner representing Northwests. There are also concerns over the final outcome of the rerun election, as only 10 out of the 20 local governments where supplementary election was held have so far collated, with the results currently placing the incumbent governor Umaru Fintiri ahead of the APC candidate Aisha Binani. Only the final outcome of the controversial election by the electoral umpire will determine the winner. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Apart from the main actors identified that contributed to the drama in Adamawa State, there are others that played roles behind the scene. For instance, who were those responsible for the INEC National Commissioner who monitored the elections in the state? What are the legal implications to all actors caught in the web of events? In this report, Kehinde Amodu speaks to Emmanuel Njoku, Director, Democracy and Governance Connected Development, in an attempt to tease an answer to these questions. The report.
The drama coming out of Adamawa State shows the high-stake nature of politics in the state. At the height of it all, the resident electoral commissioner in the state hijacked the process from the returning officer and announced results of the supplementary elections even before the process was concluded. The resulting shockwave resonated across the country. In a bid to do damage control, INEC suspended the resident electoral commissioner and asked him to stay away from its premises. But is this enough to repair the damage done to the electoral umpire's image?
The controversial rec who has been asked to stay away from the conduct of suspended exercise, I think is a step in the right direction from INEC. I mean, in previous elections before now, I never knew that INEC even have the powers to suspend, their recs. This is the first time we are seeing this, as we saw in the February 25th elections. But I'm sure Nigerians and citizens generally would expect more punitive measure or sanctions on this rec, who completely went. This is the newest law that we will ever see in the INEC and conduct of elections in Nigeria. But then again, I figure that INEC is not a law enforcement agency, and I doubt if they have the powers to actually even take actions beyond what they have done.
In the ensuing melee, the INEC had raised alarm about its missing national commissioners. A video emerged online of one of the commissioners apparently beaten up by political thugs being interrogated by some persons. There are indications that the interrogators may be stalwarts of the People's Democratic Party, and thus this may have been a case of mistaken identity. But is this how low politics has sunk, that a renowned scholar was brutalized in this manner?
What this Adamawa rec did was really, really, really terrible. I can see the effect of it and the mob attack on the INEC National Commissioner that was sent to the state to supervise the process. Talking about Professor Abdullahi Zuru, he probably could have been killed in this process because people thought this was the rec. That goes to tell you the many effect of such very irresponsible actions.
Going forward, there are relevant questions to ask, one of which is what are the legal implications of the actions of the resident electoral commissioner, and most importantly, what should be done to Aishatu Binani, who read an acceptance speech from a flawed declaration of results.
I don't think there's any legal implication of INEC suspending the collation process. INEC voided the declaration by the rec, which was wrong, but that does not mean that INEC voided the ongoing collation. They simply suspended the collation and asked every person to come to Abuja. I understand that about 10 local governments had already been collated at that time. INEC simply said, okay, hold it there, come to Abuja, let's look at all of these things again. And probably, so I want to believe that collation of the election will go on. It will be very shameful for us to have an inconclusive election declared inconclusive again.
These are questions which will be interrogated in the following days. Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Still in politics, the All Progressives Congress has expelled former governor of Gombe State and senator representing Gombe Central, Muhammad Danjuma from the party. Addressing a press conference in Kashere on Tuesday, the chairman of the APC, Kashere Ward, Tanimu Abdullahi, said Goje was expelled over anti-party activities in the 2023 general elections. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
The conduct of the 2023 general elections in Gombe State, the ruling All Progressive Congress APC has vowed to deal with any of its members involved in anti-party activities. Walking its talk, the party suspended former governor of the state and senator representing Gombe Central, Muhammad Danjuma Goje, over allegations of anti-party activities. He was invited to defend himself by a committee constituted to investigate the matter. According to the chairman of APC in Kashere Ward, the former governor was found guilty by the committee after investigations, hence the decision to dismiss him from the party.
I am Tanimu Abdullahi by name, APC chairman Kashere Ward in Akko local government, Gombe State. The APC Kashere Ward have expel Senator Muhammad Danjuma Goje over the anti-party activities.
According to Tanimu, Senator Goje failed to deliver his polling unit to the APC in the 2023 general elections. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
A federal high court in Abuja has barred the People's Democratic Party from suspending or expelling Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State and the executive members of the PDP in Rivers State over alleged anti-party activities. In his judgment, Justice Ian Eko held that the fears of Wike and other members of the PDP were well-founded, adding that suspending or expelling them will amount to breach of their rights to freedom of association. The judge therefore stated it is in the power of the courts to grant redress to persons who have well-established acts that would amount to the infringement of their rights. The judge said members of political parties cannot be suspended arbitrarily without compliance with the political party's guidelines. Wike and 4 other PDP governors, known as the G5, had openly campaigned against PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar in the February 25th election. On security, the 8 female students kidnapped from government secondary school Awang on April 3rd have escaped from their terrorist den. The abduction took place in the Awang General area of Kachia local government, Kaduna State. According to sources, the students managed to escape from a thick forest near the Kaduna-Niger interstate boundaries where they had been held captive. It was gathered that the girls walked for several days until they found a safe location where they were able to seek help. The State Commissioner of Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, in a statement issued on Tuesday, stated that the human intelligence sources alerted the state government of the students' escape, after which Governor Nasser El-Rufai ordered their immediate evacuation. A police sergeant identified as Ahmed Ali has been shot dead by some soldiers on duty in Benishek town, Borno State, after his team intercepted a vehicle belonging to their colleague, which was laden with Indian hemp. Locals and security sources told Daily Trust that the incident happened at the town's entry checkpoint around 10 a.m. on Monday. A security source said the soldier driving in an ash-colored Acura sport utility vehicle with the registration number FKJ 761AR beat a security checkpoint and refused to stop despite warning from the police. Daily Trust reports that the suspect is currently under the custody of the military while the vehicle is parked at the Benishek police station. A source from the military described the shooting as a mistake, as a soldier named Ibrahim Waberi fired at the vehicle in an attempt to stop it from being moved by the deceased. You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, how 40-year-old blind man authors 5 books. Stay with us.
Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have informed, educated, and entertained us. When you needed information, knowledge, or an escape.
From generation to generation, the Nigerian broadcasting industry has worked tirelessly to serve you.
This November, broadcasters all over Nigeria will gather for the maiden edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards, an award ceremony set to reward hard work and unflinching excellence in the broadcast media. They have served and are still serving. It's time to say thank you. This award is organized by the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, Bonn. For more details, log on to www.tnbawards.ng and follow our social media handles at TNB Awards.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130.
A Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secured are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Really, if you look at English squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. It's still News Hour on Trust TV. A recap of our top stories. We told you that INEC declares Umaru Fintiri as governor-elect of Adamawa State. We also told you that 8 kidnapped Kaduna female students escaped from terrorists' den. Moving to more stories, as the 2023 Ramadan draws to an end, the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, under the leadership of its President General and Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar III, has urged Muslims across the country to look for the new moon of Shawwal on Thursday. The Director of Administration of the NSCIA, Zubairu Haruna Usman Ugu, disclosed this on Tuesday in a statement. He urged the Muslims, in addition to the established and traditional Islamic leaders in each locality, to also contact members of the NMSC to report any credible and positive sighting of the crescent of Shawwal 1444 after Hijrah. He further urged Muslims to, in the spirit of Ramadan, to remember that Zakat al-Fitr, also known as Special Ramadan Charity, is a compulsory food levy imposed on privileged Muslims to be given to the less privileged in the society. He therefore urged all concerned to ensure that they do not comply, but comply on time. Clerics have called on Muslim faithfuls to be steadfast in praying for the betterment of the country. They made the call during the midnight prayers at Al-Nur Mosque in Abuja. Kabir Lawal reports.
The prayers, which started in the early hours of Tuesday, are a reflection of the importance of Ramadan as the most holy month in the Muslim calendar. The prayer is one of sober reflection and forgiveness. Clerics at the Al-Nur Mosque say the last 10 days of Ramadan are usually regarded as more important in the holy month as a result of the abundant blessings that comes with the holy month, coupled with the majestic night that makes the month even more significant.
And we are here actually to make sure that inshallah we benefit from it. And all your sins, are forgiven and we expected to.
The clerics further called on Muslim Ummah to pray for the country, saying the month ushers in blessings and forgiveness which go a long way to improve not just the way of lives, but also has abundant blessings.
We expect to witness the night of Laylatul Qadr. And in that night, it is expected that it is a very significant night. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises to forgive all those that have witnessed that their sins that have passed. And if in the process one happens to live through, inshallah, it gets into the Jannah.
Faithful express happiness for witnessing another last 10 days of the Ramadan, adding that the days bring joy and enable them to be steadfast in prayers.
Our spiritual status is very high, alhamdulillah, and we hope Allah accept our prayers and dua, and I hope the best for this country and my home country and for my friends and my parents.
And especially these last days, Allah said, increase your dua. It's the most precious 10 days of the month.
In the last 10 days of Ramadan, it's been recommended that we should search for the night of power, which is the night of Qadr. That night is supposed to coincide with when the Holy Quran was beginning, the revelation started. So every Muslim try as much as possible. We do a lot of act of ibadah during the whole entire month of Ramadan. But in the last 10 days, there is special dedication by all to observe that prayers and the act of worship so as to benefit, from the day that it will coincide with the night of power.
Alhamdulillah, that we can only use this time around to pray for the entire world, for peace to reign on all the Muslim Ummah and the non-Muslim Ummah in the world.
So this is the month of Asasa, the month of Ibadah, the month of forgiveness, the month of so many things that the actual Almighty Allah will do for this month, because this month people used to forgive each other, people do Ibadah, people do so many good things in the month of Ramadan.
So we're all here seeking for Allah's rahmah, favor, and as you all know, we're equally praying for the peace and security of Nigeria.
This year's Ramadan fast is expected to be rounded off on Friday, April 21st, 2023.
Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
As Muslims prepare for this year's Salah celebration, prices of food items and other essential commodities have continued to increase. Traders in Dawano grain market say this is largely due to the high cost of production. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin reports.
This is called Dawano International Market in Kano, which is believed to be the largest grain market in the entire West African sub-region. Food items in Dawano is very important. Like you know, Dawano is the largest grain market in the entire West African sub-region. And over the years, if you come here, whatever type of food items you need, you will get it in this market. We have everything here. Every year, Muslims come here from different parts of the world to buy grains, which are especially used to prepare food during Eid celebration. But customers say the price this year is not encouraging.
Today,
For now, as Salah approaches, the price, I must tell you that the price of food items have increased. I'm here to buy rice, beans, and even yam, but I was made to understand that everything has increased, unlike a few months ago or even last month. Everything has the price of everything have increased in these markets today. High cost of transportation, increase in production cost, the lack of capital and other modern farming equipment are largely responsible for the high increase in price of food items. You see, I'm selling wheat, maize, rice, and all sort of food items you can find. I'm selling it here. But the problem is that we have problem from the farmers where we used to buy these food items because they have problem of fertilizer and other farming equipment which they don't use to get. Therefore, they increase the price. And if we buy from them, we also have to increase the price so that we gain a little from what we are selling. According to traders in these Africa's largest grain markets, the need for government to ensure price control from point of production to the point of sale may be significant to avoid unnecessary inflation across the country. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Kanu.
The Osun State Police Command has arrested a 23-year-old man, Adeleke Sodiq, for allegedly robbing one Joseph Wosu at Technical College area in Osogbo, the state capital. Adeleke, who was also suspected to be a member of a secret cult, was arrested by men of the command's anti-cultism squad upon complaints of the victim. The police public relations officer for the command, Yemisi Okbalola, said the suspect and his gang members have been terrorizing residents by forcefully withdrawing money from the victims' accounts. The PPRO said the suspect and his accomplices accosted Joseph, who was on a motorcycle, diverted the motorcycle to their hideout, compelled him to open his phone, checked his account balance, and forced him to transfer 150,000 naira to them. The suspect confessed to the offense leveled against him by the police and pleaded for mercy. The PPRO said Sadiq's fleeing colleagues would be arrested and prosecuted.
Back there, may wait, that bike wait. When that bike wait, we carry that machine go on DRA. In front of DRA, the settlement. Before you go enter DRA, the settlement. We stop there. We talk to that boy. Say how much that boy. I see the phone. I can't see the phone. That boy 4+. We talk to that boy. Say how much we do.
We'll be back after this break.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. Stakeholders in the civil society space in Lagos State have called for an end to the menace of land grabbing in the state. They're also calling for the defense of victims of human rights abuses and the promotion of justice and peaceful coexistence in the state. They made the call at a press briefing on the issues of land grabbing and its attendant effect in Lagos State. The report.
The Lagos Property Protection Law, which was enacted in 2016 to proscribe forcible entry and illegal occupation of landed property, violent and fraudulent conduct in relation to landed property in the state, was enacted to bring to an end the hazard of land grabbing in Lagos State. Civil society stakeholders in Lagos have therefore considered it necessary to address the media on the unlawful activities of land grabblers in Ojumo community, Itiosa local government area of the state. Addressing journalists on the issue, the President Center for Human and Social Economic Rights, Alex Omotenisi, enjoined Lagos State government to issue statement putting to an end the announcement of allottees and rightful owners of land in Ojumo community alongside France Abayomi.
And that both the Lagos State government and Nigerian police force should put an end to harassment of authentic allottees and rightful owners of land in Ojumo community and by extension Ajiro land. We call out the Lagos State government for failing to protect legitimate authorities of traditional institutions in Ajiro land against the reckless insubordination of land grabbers. We urge Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to reverse the ugly situation and restore the honor and pride deserved by the legally recognized custodian of culture and heritage of Ajiro land.
The 2016 law that was enacted was to kick against all forms of encroachment, forcible entry and illegal occupation in regards to landed property in Lagos. But the land grabblers, known in local parlance as Omonile, have kicked against the law as they always go about harnessing people out of their lands and property. Civil society stakeholders are hopeful that the issue around illegal and land grabbling in the area will be addressed as soon as possible to avoid a crisis situation erupting.
The government of Governor Samuel Ortom has suspended for 2 weeks the enforcement of the Open Grazing and Ranches Establishment Law. The law, considered by some sections of Nigerians as controversial, was enacted in 2017. Jimmy Adzande reports.
It is 1 week after the activities of the livestock guards saddled with the responsibility of policing the law was suspended by Governor Samuel Ortom. According to the announcement that came out of the State Security Council meeting, this was to pave way for herders who migrated to Benue State on the basis of misinformation to go out. Some public commentators and Benue residents have been reacting to the directive.
The governor has acted within the constitutional powers to allow for the enforcement of the fundamental right of every citizen as regards freedom of movement. So it's a step in the right direction, but we expect more proactive steps towards dealing with the issues of farmer herders conflict other than such pronouncement at the tail end of his administration.
Who does that? We all know that it's a cliche that ignorance before the law is not an excuse. This law has been there. So why would you now say you want to suspend the law for people that you argue are ignorant of the law? This can go wrong in 2 weeks. So for me, it's the government should come out and tell us what is happening. We are citizens of Benue. We have stake in the security of this state. So they should come out and tell us if they have any challenges. They should tell us.
They called on the incoming government at the state level to strengthen the law and make it more effective for positive results.
The law also deals with issues of environmental protections, issues of climate change, and all of this, animal husbandry and all of that. So the only thing I can say is that the state government, the incoming administration, needs not to repeal the law. But if there is need to repeal the law to take care of certain lacunas, why not? After all, laws are not static. You know, they keep evolving.
The suspension of the enforcement of the law, according to the state government, was not unconnected with recent killings orchestrated by militia herders in the state. As an agricultural state, Many feel the sacking of rural farmers from their ancestral homes is a threat to the food security of the nation.
Coupled with the level of insecurity across the country where farmers are able to visit to assess their farms, I'm afraid that next year, except the borders are thrown open for imported foods to come into the country, the citizens will be faced with severe hunger.
In a week's time, the suspension would have elapsed. Only then can one assess the success or failure of the executive order.
Justice Iang Eko of the Federal High Court Abuja on Tuesday voided the removal of Senator Ifeanyi Ararume as non-executive chairman of the board of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. In a suit marked FHC ABJ CS 691-2022, the former senator had asked the court to determine whether, by the interpretation of Section 63, subsection 3 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, the president could lawfully remove him as non-executive chairman of the NNPCL for any reason outside the provisions of the law. He also asked the court for an order reinstating him and restoring him to office with all the rights and privileges of the office of the NNPC non-executive chairman. Ararume had asked for 100 billion naira as damages caused him in the alleged unlawful and unconstitutional way and manner he was removed from the NNPC board after using his name to incorporate the entity. The court on Tuesday voided his removal, restored him to his office with all benefits, nullified all decisions that were taken by the board of NNPCL in his absence, and was awarded 5 billion naira damages. In health, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control says no fewer than 1,336 suspected cases of cholera, including 79 deaths, was recorded. The states are Abia, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Cross Rivers, and Ebonyi. Others are Kano, Katsina, Niger, Ondo, Osun, Sokoto, and Zamfara. The NCDC, in its situation report on Monday, said out of the suspected cases since the beginning of the year, the age groups of 15 to 24 and 45 years and above were the most affected for males and females, respectively. It said of all suspected cases, 53% are males and 47% are females. The NCDC said the National Multisectoral Cholera Technical Working Group continued to monitor response across states with a view to addressing the spread of the disease. People living with various forms of disabilities have suffered neglect and stigmatization, especially in the African continent. Sociologists say such stigmatization and neglect are more often than not caused by the way such people also present themselves to the larger society. In this report, our correspondent in Niger State reports on how a 40-year-old blind man, Abdurrahman Awal, has authored 5 books despite his challenge and how he struggles to make ends meet with his family. The report.
As at 2020, statistics shows that there are no fewer than 27 million people living with one form of disability or the other in Nigeria. The most common disabilities suffered in Nigeria are visual impairment, hearing impairment, among others. Consequently, the 40-year-old Awal said he lost his both eyes to eye cancer at the age of 1 and had since then struggled to live a normal life through encouragement from parents and loved ones. Despite his visual impairment, Awal said he moves on to acquire his first degree in counseling psychology through his little businesses, though he was sponsored through primary, secondary, and NC levels by his parents.
When I was in primary school, there was a poem I recited during the Children's Day that reads, "I am blind, I cannot see, but that does not mean I am useless and hopeless in the society." How I wish that people will understand me and give me the right push, and I will surprise the world. When I read that poem that time, I don't know what it means, but because I didn't forget it, when I grew a bit older and I understood the meaning, then I took up the challenge that I will not allow disability to deter me from becoming whatsoever I become attracted to.
Abdurrahman Awal has defied his challenge and authored 5 books. However, out of the 5 books, he has only been able to publish one titled The Blind Man's Perspective.
Things like psychology of the blind. I saw a lot of things written, but since it was not written by the blind people, because many assertions said that the blind people are aggressive people. And when I come to look at it, okay, myself, I'm not aggressive. So is that really not contrary to the truth? Then why is it so? Then I now ask, what is it? I now realize that, no, it's all about people's mindset. People think so many things about us are not really true.
Awole says he believes in the saying that there is ability in every disability, and as such has continued to venture into different businesses, including consultation services on business startups. He also engages in social media interactions, especially Facebook, with the aid of screen reader, which helps him follow every discourse. According to Martina, disability is a matter of perception, and if one can do just one thing well, his services will be needed by someone. Abubakar Akote, Trust TV News, Mina.
You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. More stories shortly.
Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have informed, educated, and entertained us. When you needed information, knowledge, or an escape.
From generation to generation, the Nigerian broadcasting industry has worked tirelessly to serve you.
This November, broadcasters all over Nigeria will gather for the maiden edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards, an award ceremony set to reward hard work and unflinching excellence in the broadcast media. They have served and are still serving. It's time to say thank you. This award is organized by the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, BON. For more details, log on to www.tnbawards.ng and follow our social media handles at TNB Awards.
Welcome back. Let's now join Chiamaka Nwafo for business news. The Nigerian Railway Corporation, NRC, says it generated 5.57 billion naira from passengers, cargoes and other services in 2022. This figure represents a decrease of 7.69% to 464.74 million naira when compared to the revenue of 6.03 billion naira generated in 2021. The NRC data is contained in a report by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, on rail transportation for the third and fourth quarter of last year. According to the report, the corporation generated 4.54 billion naira from passengers in 2022 against 5.69 billion naira in 2021. In the year under review, goods and cargo led to a revenue of 416.85 million naira relative to 299.80 million naira in 2021, while income from other receipts stood at 607.80 million naira, which is 569.38 million naira higher than the 38.42 million naira recorded in 2021. The Nigerian exchange closed positive amidst buy interest and sell-offs as bulls regained dominance, driving up the broad market. The all-share index appreciated by 0.02% to close at 51,138.92 points. In the same vein, market capitalization grew by 2 billion naira to close at 27.852 trillion naira, while the year-to-date returns settled at 0.88%. The stock market has advanced by 456.74 basis points since the start of the year. Market bread closed flat as Transcorp led 21 gainers and 21 losers, topped by Vitafoam at the end of today's session. 1.81 million volume units of shares valued at 5.02 billion naira were traded in 4,669 deals. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. On the international scene, shelling and gunfire was heard in Khartoum as a ceasefire agreed by the Sudanese army and rapid support forces begins. The ceasefire agreed on Tuesday is meant to commence at 6 p.m. local time. The United Nations says more than 180 people have been killed since the fighting began on Saturday. UN Aid Chief Martin Griffiths says aid workers and humanitarian facilities are continuing to be targeted in Sudan. The latest violence began on Saturday after weeks of tension between the army and the powerful paramilitary group known as the Rapid Support Forces. The Red Cross and the World Health Organization called on Sudan's warring parties to guarantee humanitarian access for those in need. The leader of the Wagner Group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, a powerful Russian mercenary organization that has been active in Sudan for years, has denied that its fighters are in the country. Now to sports. The Nigeria Football Association. The Nigeria Football Federation has directed Bauchi Football Association to conduct credible election on or before June 14. This is contained in a letter sent to the FA Secretary in Bauchi State and signed by the head special duties at the NFF, Ali Abubakar. It noted that the tenure of the incumbent Bauchi State Football Association Executive Board expires June 14. The statement mandated the Bauchi FA Executive Board to maintain the status quo before its present impasse and directed it to chart a roadmap to conduct the election on or before June 14. The letter recalled that 4 board members passed a vote of no confidence on the FA chairman, Patrick Pascal, noting that the vote was not in line with the provisions of FA statutes and those of the NFF and was therefore null and void and of no effect. The NFF noted also that elections conducted into the 20 local football councils followed due process. Let's join Adeni Ajishafe for more sports news.
It was another impressive performance from Shooting Stars Under-15 team as the Young Warriors beat Gombe United counterparts 2-0 at the ongoing 2023 MPFL La Liga Under-15 Promises Youth League, holding at Remo Star Stadium, Ikenne. The first half of the Group D game ended goalless, but Shooting Stars Cadet got the best of their opponents in the second half and scored 2 goals. Jimoh Basil scored his second goal of the competition in as many matches, firing home the first goal in the 49th minute before Mohamed Sani made it 2 in the 54th minute. Having beaten Rangers International 1-0 in the opening fixture, the Oluyole Warriors lads have qualified for the quarter-final even before their final Group D match against El Kalemi Warriors Under-15 team. And still in football, informed Nigerian Super Eagles and OGC knee striker Terem Murphy has been nominated for the 2023 Marc Vivien Foe Award in France. The award was created in 2009 by France 24 and RFI in remembrance of former indomitable Lions of Cameroon midfielder Marc Vivien Foe, who died during 2003 FIFA Confederations Cup. The Nigerian international Terem Murphy, nominated for this award, has scored double-digit goals for FC Lorient and OGC Nice this season. Murphy was nominated alongside Yunus Abdulhamid of Morocco, Mama Balde of Guinea-Bissau, Mohamed Kamara of Monaco, Habib Diallo of Senegal, and Seko Fofana of Côte d'Ivoire. Others are Ashraf Hakimi of Morocco, Chancel Mbeba of DR Congo, Masha Munetsi of Zimbabwe, Salis Abdul Samed of Ghana, as well as Amari Traore of Mali. A jury of nearly 100 ex-players and journalists specializing in French and African football will vote to pick the winner, who will be announced on 30 May 2023. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we've come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.